QWER, who you may call QWER, with the album Algorithms Blossom. I think it's a really good name for an album, even if I can't pronounce it. Algorithms Blossom. They're clearly a product of internet culture, and yet they're blossoming out of it in such a beautiful way. Now, as you guys know, we're doing this track by track because I've been really kind of getting to know the group through their singles, through their music, and then most recently I did a track by track listen to their most recent album, In a Million Voices, Million Noises, I'll Be Your Harmony. That's not such a good album title, if I'm honest with you. Algorithms Blossom, this was always going to be the one that we'd come back to. And on the track by track listen through, I've never actually listened to the intro. At some point I need to go check out the intro just for context, because I'm, again, as you can tell, I'm an album listener. I like when an album comes together. Fake Idol, great. My Name is Malgram. Good single. I don't think I was quite as wild about it as the view count suggests that a lot of other people were, but I think it's a good one. Let's Love. That's the one that we most recently just checked out, and I thought that was a really, really cool sort of swinging rock track that really added that band feel, but at the same time just felt like a nice solid bit of contrast from the other tracks we've heard so far on the album. And now we're up to Run, Run, Run. Now, Run, Run, Run. At first, I have no opinion. I'm just like, oh, okay, I wonder what they're going to follow up on. So far, we've had kind of a poppy song to start off with. Then we've had a song that's got a little bit more of a ballady edge. Then we've had quite a rocking, swinging song. What are we going to have next? Now, all I know is that when I typed in Run, 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 QWER into YouTube to load up what you're looking at here, it came up with the first suggestion was QWER Run, Run, Run dance practice. And I forgot about this. When I first found out about the band, before we had all these things where I checked them out live and started talking about their credentials as a really interesting inspiration for people who wanted to see Japanese bands coming out of the Korean bands coming out of the K-idol scene. One of the first things that confused me was that they had some videos which were dance practices. And I thought, if the whole thing you're trying to sell is that you're a band, why have you got dance practices? That, to me, I've got to be honest, is a bit counterintuitive. But okay, fair enough. For me, like, a big part of their selling point is we know they're idols. We know they can't dance and all that. But they're selling you something new. They're trying to be an alternative to the K-pop idol groups, of which there are just so many. So for me, I thought it was really weird to kind of bend the knee in that sense. Even if they can dance, to do a dance videos, I thought was a bit strange. So I'm intrigued. I'm expecting, though, because that was the first thing that came up, that this one might have more of a K-pop feel. And I did mention this with the most recent mini album, is that the tracks seemed to be almost separated between the ones that were more like band songs and the ones that were more like traditional K-pop songs that we just kind of knew were being played by a band, but definitely sounded more like K-pop songs than band songs. So as this is a bit of an earlier album, I wonder, is this going to feel more like a straight K-pop song? Anyway, those are my thoughts going into it. I'm intrigued. So far, we've had 3 very different songs. Let's see what Run, Run, Run gives us. Ooh. Okay, I'm liking that straight away. The bass lines on this album are sick.
시끄러운 맘 어지러운 말들 왜 그래 너에게 저 별이 반짝거려도
Love that chilled electric piano in the background there.
넌 아무것도 보질 않네.
Smooth funk.
있잖아 잠깐 집에 들러서 무거운 가방을 놓고 가자. 먼지 쌓인 그곳에 내게 닿을 수 있는 손 내밀고 숨이 차오를 때까지 위로 뛰어올라 구겨진 마음을 던지자.
The bass work certainly feels much more central on this album.
뛰어올라 구겨진 사랑을 펼치자.
Nice little change of tone there. I love how they do these little breaks where the song suddenly changes tone. Even there though, listen to the bass work in the background.
비축되는 맘 차가운 소리에 넌 어찌할지 몰라 이리저리 불안해 저 별이 반짝거려도 넌 아무것도 보질 않네.
So I wonder if the guitarist playing the keyboard in this song.
있잖아 잠깐 집에 들러서 무거운 가방을 놓고 가자.
too funky. I can see why they're dancing to it now.
This is cool.
I'm liking this much more than I ever expected. I was worried about this one. I shouldn't have been worried about this one. Nice little build up there. I think they could have made that bridge last a bit longer. But they do like their 3-minute long songs, don't they? This is funky. Do you know what? Honestly, I think one of the things that's kind of interesting. So I spoke to some people about like why they have these 3-minute songs seems to be the norm for them, with exception to some of the singles. And it was, I don't know why it's the same for him. Yeah, what was said to me is a lot of it is down to the fact that obviously their music is supposed to have a bite-sized value that's very much in line with like online stuff. You know, it makes it more usable in like and you can clip it more for short video content, and it just basically it works better for a lot of online sort of viral quality. Can't remember what the anyway, I can't remember how to use the you know what I mean, the adjective of viral. Anyway, so wait, is my brain. So basically it's this right, English lesson over. So basically the song is fitting that formula of being a 3-minute sort of taste of a certain sound, and it almost feels like when you listen to their album tracks as a general, it's like a serving platter of different tastes. You get 3 minutes of this, 3 minutes of that. Each little serving is the same size, and you take it in. And as a general, each of the songs doesn't tend to go off in any wild directions. It just sets out, here's the sound, and it plays through it in like your verse, chorus, bridge, chorus kind of way. Usually with kind of a condensed bridge that just sort of like nicely like sort of sweeps in a different direction and then feeds you into the last chorus. There is definitely a formula to how they do their songs, but I must admit that if you are going to do songs that are relatively, you know, follow a fairly simple formula each, then doing that in this way, making each song concise, giving it a nice sort of feeling that it doesn't drag, doesn't go on too long, whilst also making each song kind of notably different from the last. So when you go from one track to the next, you genuinely feel like you've walked from one experience into a different experience. That seems to be the strength of the albums that I'm listening to from them. I mean, we've talked so much about the band and the concept and why I think that's interesting for K-pop, but just listening to them, taking them in isolation as the group, as QWER, and listening to QWER's albums, I feel like that's what makes their albums so enjoyable, and why I feel like I could really sit down and cover to cover listen their most recent album, and I'm getting a similar vibe from this. It's just the feeling that these little bite-sized tasters that you get, one song, yeah, predictable length, predictable kind of structure, but each one offering you a very different feeling and soundscape. And what was really cool is, just like with the last track, this was very much focused on the bass, and the bass playing, I don't know if it's just because it's louder and more up front on this album, but the bass playing is really nice here. There's some cool little bit of slap, but I'm more just into the funkiness of the bass, you know, the way there's these sort of nice, very distinct stop starts and these nice little flourishes and little walking bass lines, quick little walking fills and everything. That is really cool. The bass almost feels a little bit more mature on this album, because on the most recent album there was a lot of bass lines that didn't sound like bass at all, and I was told that the bassist was actually playing keyboard a lot of them, which is fine, but it seems to go a little bit against the concept of the band. But okay, fair enough. Hey, you play whatever you want. Here, interestingly enough, the guitarist sounds like she's playing the keyboard. Well, that would be my assumption, because there isn't really much in the way of guitar in this song. And that kind of smooth electric piano, you know, sort of giving this long, sort of nice held notes that the funky bass is sort of chopping and bouncing underneath. You get that lovely juxtaposition between the smoothness of those held piano notes that's so gentle, and these sort of nice sharp slaps and sort of little biting moments from the bass line. That's really cool. So if we have a little listen to that, maybe about here. This is how long I know it is. And yet the bass. Those long held piano notes while the bass is sort of like bouncing around, it gives you that beautiful juxtaposition that gives the song a sense of layering, a sense of depth, a sense of more than one thing happening, which is, yeah, it seems so obvious, but it's something that a lot of the time, you know, tends to be missed in songwriting, is that you need that variation between what the different instruments are doing in order to give a song a sense of more, to give it re-listenability, to give it a sense of layering. So yeah, I really like this. I felt that, again, that focus on using the electric piano instead of keyboard, instead of guitar, was a really good touch. The bass felt really prominent. The backing vocals were nicely done here, so that the always cool QWER lead vocals were nicely backed up with something a little bit colourful and interesting underneath. You know, again, gave more thickness to the vocals. But just the pure level of funk that resulted from all of those particular ingredients coming together in the final analysis was just amazing. This is definitely like just, yeah, I can see why they got a dance video for this now. I would still kind of rather see the band video, the performance, because that's what we're pushing here, QWER. You're pushing that new generation of K bands, you know, K idol bands. Push that, you know, start the girls rock scene in Korea. Come on, you can do it, QWER. But at the same time, if you're going to dance to anything, yeah, this is the one. Great stuff. I really enjoyed this again. And yeah, it's given a great sense of colour so far to this album. So we've got 3 more songs yet to go. Well, actually, no, one of them is the outro as well. It's got an intro and outro. So at some point, I will have to like circle around and do the intro and the outro. Maybe when I get to the outro, I'll just do a separate video for the outro where I check out the intro as well and then do an album review. I don't know. Maybe let me know, guys. Let me know what you want me to do. But yeah, so far, Fake Idol, great song. My Name is Malgraham, very popular song. The one that's kind of like a mid-tier one for me in terms of QWER. Let's Love, that was really good as an album track with a bit of bite. Run, 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 great dancey album track. So far, this album is like, is hitting pretty well, and it's feeling like a band album. So I'm intrigued. When I get to the end of this, which one am I going to like more? Million Noises or Algorithms Blossom? I feel like it could be an interesting question. But we got 3 more songs to go. Goodbye My Sadness and Rebound, and then just the intro and outro. So, okay, 2 songs to go. And then just weird completionism. Anyway, as always, get in the comments. Let me know what you thought. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. But either way, this was the great thing. Let's have some conversation in the comments below. Remember, if you are into music, we've got a Discord below. It's mostly related to Japanese music, but we just love talking about all kinds of different music. So please get in there. Tell me, share the music you like. Tell me what you're thinking in the comments. And until I hopefully see you here in Japan, either in the comments or the videos or the Discord or wherever it is, next time I see you, until then, for now. Ciao, ciao.